Hopefully we can create a little bit more space. We'll go really slow and then we'll get an acceleration. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over this 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT with about 75,000 miles on it, and we're going to determine if it's a good idea to buy a Grand Cherokee SRT with higher mileage. First and foremost though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Provo for giving me some time with the Jeep. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. So under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 6.4 liter Hemi V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 475 horsepower and then 470 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of this Grand Cherokee SRT. So first and foremost, just like all the other SRTs, you've got the performance hood with the venting right there. It looks really good. You've got the Jeep logo right there, and then notice we've got the signature Jeep front grille with chrome accenting around each grille piece. And then we've got these projector bulbs with the LED accent lights around them. They don't flicker in person, that's just the frame rate of the camera. And then notice all the lighting down below. And then we've got parking sensors here on the front end. That's just the sensor for the cruise control. We've got more venting here. But yeah, overall, even though this is a 2015, still looks really good to this day. Coming around the side here, we've got two 95mm tires. They're wrapped around 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear. And then this does come with Brembo brakes. That's part of the SRT package. You can see just how big those front rotors are, and the brake calipers are painted red, again, as part of the SRT package. And then I love the coloration on the wheels as well. It looks really good, and it kind of matches with the rest of the chrome on the SRT. But other than that, here's kind of your full side view. Notice the previous owner did add a little rack there to the top, and yeah, that's all for the side. Now let's pop here into the back. I definitely like these two little metallic plaques here on the bottom portion. This lowers down the rear hatch, and then underneath this, you just have to kind of muscle it up a little bit. There we go. That's where the spare tire lives its life, and then you can push that back down, and then you've got kind of more metallic trim right there. We have a 12 volts you can charge. Storage space back here is really good, and well, I guess that's all, so we'll see you. Now coming here to the rear, we've got the LED lights here in the back of the SRT. They've been on the Grand Cherokees for quite some time now, but notice it's kind of blacked out there on the bottom portion. We have our SRT badge. We have the SRT bezel covering the receiver hitch. You can tow with this, believe it or not. And then got more parking sensors here at the bottom. We've got the giant exhaust tips, which look really good overall. And yeah, that is everything for the rest of the rear. Now here's the door panel in the back. So we've got the carbon fiber trim up here, and then we've got Alcantara down below, and then leather trim here on the bottom portion. A couple speakers there for the sound system. And then here are the seats in the rear. So we've got the leather seats with the Alcantara there in the center portion. And then the back passengers do get to live the life of luxury. They got some vents, USBs, heated seats, and a full power outlet as well. And yeah, that's everything for the back seating area. So see ya. Now here's the door panel at the front. So again, we've got the carbon fiber trim, we've got the Alcantara, and then we've got the leather trim down below. And then another speaker for the Harman Kardon sound system. This does come with memory seats. We've got all the window controls, the mirror adjustments as well. And then here are the seats at the front, and they say SRT on them. And then again, right there in the center with all of the Alcantara. And then we do have the power adjustments there for the seat. Here's the pedal layout just down below. We've got the gas cap release, light control. The steering wheel is automatically adjustable, and there's one more look before we pop in. Now here's the steering wheel in the SRT. We've got soft touch leather at the top and at the bottom with a perforated leather on either side. We have our cruise control with the adaptive cruise control function, and then we've got our controls for the center stack with the voice command phone controls. Beautiful paddles there on the back with radio controls underneath the paddles on the back of the steering wheel. And then you've got the little turn signal / windshield wiper stalk, and that's all for the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster. Notice we've got the RPMs over on the left side. Over on the right side, we've got the temperature and the fuel, and then there in the middle, notice that it's kind of like a digital readout right now showing the G-forces. You can basically change it to be a bunch of different screens, and wow, 93 degrees outside, getting pretty hot. Now here's the center infotainment system. We've got it in reverse. You guys can see the backup camera. It's got pretty good resolution, and then trajectory lines do turn with the steering wheel. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, this isn't Jeep's newest unit. That being said though, it's actually still really good. You do get heated and ventilated seats that you can access via the touchscreen, and then also a heated steering wheel on top of that. And again, the response time isn't as good as the newest screen, but I mean, overall, it still feels like a nice modern touchscreen. So no complaints with any of that. Now down below, we've got our analog controls for the radio, analog climate controls, as well as does have a dual zone climate. That's for the parking sensors. That is for the collision assistance. And then you've got your eco mode to turn that on or off. And then we've got our stability control right next to it. Now, if we press this, it'll kind of show a couple of USBs and then a 12 volts inside of it. And then notice we've got some cup holders right next to it. We do have the shifter for that 8-speed automatic transmission. This does come with launch control. And then notice we've got a drive modes. We've got the sport, track, got our snow, and then our tow as well. You just turn this to go into the different drive modes. Got the center console right here. You can see, opening that up, decent amount of storage. There is a 12 volt inside of it. And then notice more carbon fiber trim. And then here is the glove box, and then they do have nice stitching all over the dash. And then finishing things here at the very top, we do have a suede headliner, which is definitely nice. Full panoramic sunroof, universal garage door openers as well, controls to the sunroof, and yeah, that's all for the top. Now, if you want the most up-to-date pricing on this SRT, check out the Larry H. Miller, Dodge Ram, Jeep, Chrysler here in Provo's inventory in the link below so you can see that. Let's take this SRT out and see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off here in this SRT. There's your visibility of the hood. It's cool to see the venting. Both of the mirrors. Again, it does have blind spot monitoring. And then here's throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So we're setting off here on the Grand Cherokee SRT, and we'll kind of get a little bit of an acceleration here. Super quick with the gear shifts. Definitely awesome. And it's been quite some time since I've been in one of these because they're pretty rare to find, right? The Grand Cherokee itself, they produce quite a bit. The SRT, not nearly as many. And yeah, it's just always cool to see one of these. Now, in terms of the driving experience here with the SRT, definitely is a sporty SUV. Like, it just everything about it. You get nice sounds from the 6.4 liter Hemi V8. And on top of that, how they've tuned the suspension with this, right? It's stiffer than a regular Grand Cherokee, but what you lose in ride quality, you gain in handling characteristics. This definitely goes around corners much better compared to regular Grand Cherokee. Like, you just don't feel the same level of body roll. And on top of that, it has the upgraded brakes, so stopping power on this is great. I'll show you guys up here, hopefully. But it's not punishing at all with the ride quality. I will say that. Like, it's something that's very comfortable. You could daily drive. Like, if I pop it over into the automatic mode and just cruise along, it's a quiet, comfortable SUV. Like, you'd forget that you have almost 500 horsepower under your foot from a massive 6.4 liter V8. And then you guys can see coming up here at the brakes, really good in terms of stopping power. This weighs about 5,000 pounds, but it still stops actually at a really reasonable pace. Again, with those brakes, it's a huge benefit to use them because you are going to get that really good stopping power. And I actually am going to pop it back over into the sport mode. Notice it gives you a little chime when you pop into the different drive modes, letting you know, hey, are you sure that you want to do this? So that's pretty cool with that. But yeah, I mean, it's just such a good, it's a really good, well-rounded vehicle, right? You could daily drive this. These actually get relatively good fuel economy. I believe the EPA rates them like lower teens around town, like low to mid, I think it's like mid-teens actually around town, and then it's like lower 20s on the highway. But as long as you're not like going crazy into the throttle, you actually can get pretty good fuel economy. And even when you go into the throttle, it still does pretty good compared to like higher performance turbocharged vehicles that just guzzle through gas when you get into those turbos. But yeah, aside from the daily drivability, you can tow with these as well. They've got a really good towing capacity. It's over 7,000 pounds with the SRTs. And so it's just this really good practical car that just has so many different uses. And well, hopefully we can create a little bit more space. We'll go really slow and then we'll get an acceleration. Love that sound. That 6.4 liter V8 sounds great. And this is quick. 0 to 60 is like 4.5 seconds with the SRT. Definitely a quick vehicle. If you guys are wondering speed wise, that's has a faster 0 to 60 than like a Ford Raptor, which is, I mean, it's a quick truck, and well, this is quicker. Now let's sum things up on this particular Grand Cherokee SRT and decide whether or not you should buy a used Grand Cherokee SRT, especially something with higher miles. Now this one has 73,000 miles on it, so a little bit less than what I stated at the beginning. I think I said 75,000. 73,000 miles. First off, the exterior is held up really well on this car. Interior is held up really well on top of that. Like, usually when you have this many miles on a car, you're going to notice a ton of wear and tear. This definitely doesn't have that. The interior is still in really good condition. And then on top of that, like, it drives perfect. Like, it doesn't, like, the steering doesn't feel weird, suspension doesn't feel weird, the engine still feels strong. Like, it's held up really well. This is actually, you can tell this is a really reliable vehicle. And so if you want like a higher performance SUV that's actually going to be able to stand the test of time, then the SRT Grand Cherokee is definitely the route to go. And the old SRTs that weren't as reliable as these new ones, you could still put a ton of miles on them. I remember working at the dealership, there was one that came in, it was like a 2005 with over 200,000 miles on it, and it was still running great. And so these are even more reliable than the old ones, the SRT8s. And so yeah, it's a great package. So like I said, if you're looking for a high performance reliable SRT, high performance reliable SUV, not SRT, got my words mixed up, check one of these out. Now let's get some things up for our video on this used SRT Grand Cherokee. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Provo for giving me some time with the Grand Cherokee. Check out their inventory on the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.